The following announcement has been paid for by Perched on the Top Rope.
Say his name and he shall appear. This is Joe Hendry, and you are listening to Perched on the Top Rope.
Welcome everyone to Perched on the Top Rope. I am your host, former dirt sheet writer from Ringside News, Sportskeeda, the Daily DDT, and more. I am Lee Walker, and as you can tell, it is Royal Rumble week. Royal Rumble season, however you want to refer to it. Regardless, after this, it is the road to WrestleMania. But ladies and gentlemen, this Saturday in Indianapolis, we have the Royal Rumble. This is my favorite pay-per-view of the year. However, I do have some issues with the pay-per-view itself the past few years. And you can say it's because they've added the Women's Royal Rumble, but the fact that there's only ever 4 matches for this pay-per-view is kind of annoying. I'm somebody who's been watching since, it's going to sound like I'm old, 1989. You had a lot of matches, plus the Royal Rumble. You had people who were in matches in the Royal Rumble, and now that's not done anymore. Even during the Attitude Era, it was done. You just don't see it anymore. It sucks. It's whatever. This is the new generation of professional wrestling, and you either like it or you don't. With that being said, let's look at the first match. Now, the first match is for the WWE Tag Team Championship, as your tag team champions DIY are taking on the Motor City Machine Guns in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Now, how did we get here? Well, fans, this all started when DIY lost the WWE Tag Team Championships back in August, and they vowed to do whatever it would take to get the championships back. However, during this time, there were signs of trouble between Tommaso and Johnny Gargano, as the former took on a more aggressive character. On November 15th on SmackDown, Tommaso interrupted the title match between the Street Profits and the Motor City Machine Guns, attacking both teams as Gargano tried to calm him down. This further teased that the team would actually split up. On December 6th, DIY defeat Motor City Machine Guns to regain the championships after Gargano hit Sabin with a low blow, revealing that the breakup was just a ruse, just a gameplay, a ploy, a piece of the puzzle, if you will, leaving both members of DIY to turn heel. Now, a rematch episode took place January 3rd, and that match ended in a no contest after a brawl between Los Garza and Pretty Deadly spilled into the ring, interrupting the match. Now, on an episode of January 17th of SmackDown, the Motor City Machine Guns defeated Los Garza and then Pretty Deadly the following week. Later that night, the Motor City Machine Guns announced that DIY would defend the titles against them at the Royal Rumble in a 2 out of 3 falls match, which was made official that night. A lot going on there, a lot of teams that are so close to being number one contenders that aren't. Pretty Deadly, in my opinion, are not. Los Garza is a team that is not. the Street Profits should be a team that holds a tag team championship and have a decent reign. What else do they have to do but prove they are the best? They're so great. The chemistry between Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins is absolutely crazy. They look like a tag team. They work like a tag team. They're a tag team. I don't get it. It is what it is. Now, DIY, they look like a tag team, act like a tag team. All these teams here are, they are actual tag teams that, should not be broken up because they work like tag teams, and that's what they are. They have matching ring gear. They have great chemistry in and out of the ring. So it's good to see that tag team divisions are thriving, at least in WWE here. When it comes to 2 out of 3 falls, this is going to be a match. There's only 2 technical matches on the card to steal the show here. We're going to see Motor City Machine Guns like we have not seen them in WWE. And it's going to simply be awesome. I cannot wait. However, I don't know if they win the titles or not. Heels make better champions. But, I'm going to say that Motor City Machine Guns do, in fact, win and become the new tag team champions. There, that's what I'm going with. If I keep talking, I'm going to change my mind, so I gotta stop. And ladies and gentlemen, in a ladder match for the WWE Undisputed Championship, the champion Cody Rhodes taking on former friend Kevin Owens. Now, as you saw on Monday Night Raw, Cody Rhodes has seemed to go off the deep end here a little bit, going a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs here, and Kevin Owens is being Kevin Owens, mocking Cody, coming out with a similar shirt like his dad wore to mock Cody, cutting a promo like his dad to mock Cody. All that's left for Kevin to do is to come out in Stardust face paint at this point. I don't see Cody losing, so I'm going to simply say Cody Rhodes is still your WWE Undisputed Champion. And it's the Women's Royal Rumble. That is the co-main event. And ladies and gentlemen, so far, we have quite a few women from Raw and SmackDown announced. Only 10 participants out of the 30 for the Royal Rumble have been announced. And in order, Nia Jax was the first to announce herself for the Royal Rumble January 13th on Raw. She is a SmackDown competitor, by the way. Also on Raw, January 20th, Bayley announced herself for the Women's Royal Rumble 2. On SmackDown, it was announced Naomi, Bianca Belair, and Charlotte Flair, January 24th, 2025, would enter the Royal Rumble. So that is 4 SmackDown competitors with 1 Raw competitor. But also January 24th on SmackDown, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez were announced for the Royal Rumble. So that right there, it is 3-4. But on January 27th on Raw, Io Sky, Ivy Nile, and your Women's Intercontinental Champion, Lyra Valkyria, were announced for the Women's Royal Rumble. And I understand that she just won the Women's Intercontinental Championship. But to have her into the Royal Rumble and not have a match, it doesn't really make sense, because now she's going to get thrown out. And you got to have somebody of a star power throwing her out. Now, when I mean star power, I mean you already have like a lot of stars announced. But it's got to be a Charlotte Flair. It's got to be a Nia. It's got to be a former world champion to throw her out. A Liv Morgan. You know, you can't have someone who's not a champion throw her out. It's got to be someone who was a champion. It's got to be someone who's a returning to boot. And when you only have 10 competitors out of 30 announced, we could see Jade Cargill back. We could see Becky Lynch back. We could see Alexa Bliss back. We already know through the dirt sheets that Bliss's her return was already shut down, and that they were waiting. I'd like to see her and be a surprise in the Royal Rumble. That would be crazy. There's also the recently signed Jordynne Grace, who we've had on the show, by the way. Go to youtube.com/perched on the top rope. That is youtube.com/perched on the top rope to watch those interviews with the former TNA World Champion, Jordynne Grace. She could be one. We could see other names from TNA pop in, as we know that WWE and TNA have a partnership now. So this is a real exciting time for the Royal Rumble. And to pick a winner for the women is really hard when only 10 names out of 30 have been announced. And you know what? I'm going to go with a name that's... I'm going to say a name that's not announced. I'm going to say Becky Lynch. I'm going to say Becky Lynch wins the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble. And ladies and gentlemen, that leaves the men's Royal Rumble match. And man, do we have a stacked men's Royal Rumble this year. In order of announcements, announced on SmackDown, LA Knight was the first to announce that he would be participating in the men's Royal Rumble. The first unaffiliated superstar, John Cena, announced he would be joining the Royal Rumble on the Raw Netflix premiere January 6th. On the post-show, CM Punk and Jey Uso announced that they would be taking part of the Royal Rumble. On January 10th, announced by Paul Heyman on SmackDown, it was announced Roman Reigns would join the men's Royal Rumble. Announced on Raw, January 13th, Seth freaking Rollins and Drew McIntyre announced that they would be joining in the Royal Rumble. On SmackDown, it was announced Rey Mysterio would join on January 17th. January 20th, announced on Raw, Sami Zayn is in the Royal Rumble. On January 24th on SmackDown, it was announced Shinsuke Nakamura would enter the Royal Rumble. And on January 27th, this past Monday Night Raw, it was announced that Logan Paul, Penta, Chad Gable, and Braun Breaker would enter the Royal Rumble. And after Raw went off the air, it was announced that Carmelo Hayes would also join the Royal Rumble. Ladies and gentlemen, Carmelo Hayes, Shinsuke Nakamura, Roman Reigns, and LA Knight are so far your only 4 participants entering the Royal Rumble. Obviously, we're going to find out on Friday if there's more. But that is only 4 for SmackDown. $10 for Raw and 1 unaffiliated. So we already know half of the men's Royal Rumble. 15 out of 30 are announced. Now, the one thing I like about the Royal Rumble is you usually get a surprise person in here. Over the past few years, it's usually been someone who was NXT related. And same with the women's. The women's used to have a lot of legends, and that's been tapering down to where more of the surprises are NXT superstars. This year, you're going to see TNA superstars be surprises. I 100% suspect that the man who did our show opener and also did an interview not once but twice with us, Joe Hendry, the TNA World Champion, I'm expecting him to be part of this Royal Rumble. But usually if the name's been announced to be a participant in the Royal Rumble, they're more than likely to be a winner. And here you've got John Cena, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, hell, John Cena, LA Knight. Those are all guys who are contenders, believe it or not, for the World Championship. But if I had to pick, I don't see this being CM Punk's road to WrestleMania. Jey Uso just got a championship shot. I don't see it being him. Roman could very well be a contender, even though he just still having that bloodline feud thing going. Seth and Drew are there. Oh, this one's tough. There's a lot of people. I'm going to say it comes down to CM Punk or John Cena. I'm going to say it's one of those two that win the men's Royal Rumble this year. It's always hard to predict when you don't know the full card. It's just, that is not an easy thing to do. Not by any means. Like, it is, wow. So I'm going to go with either CM Punk or John Cena for this, and I'm just going to hope for the best. And while hoping for the best, fans, I hope you enjoy the WWE Royal Rumble this Saturday, February 1st. Fans, remember, you can go back and watch other podcast episodes, awesome interviews. There's a great interview with David Penzer out. There's also shows with Dylan Hines, who's in the news now. YouTube.com/Perched on the Top Rope or YouTube.com/Perched on the Top Rope. You can also go and listen to all our episodes, interviews, and more. Apple, Google, Spotify. It's Perched on the Top Rope. Because after all, we are a podcast. You can also be one of the 17,000 plus on our Facebook at facebook.com/Perched on the Top Rope. You can find us on TikTok at Perched on the Top Rope. I'm hoping that app stays. I really enjoy it. You can also find us on Instagram and Threads. It's Perched on the Top Rope Podcast. And you can find us on X. It is Perched Top Rope, because Perched on the Top Rope apparently is too long. That's what she said. Ladies and gentlemen, spoiler freeze. the way to be. I'm out.